The worst thing for a gamer is buying a game and realizing it's absolute garbage the moment you start playing. I've wasted so much money on overrated games that critics swore were 10 out of 10. So I decided to buy a bunch of games myself to find out which ones are actually worth paying full price for. I picked 18 games that you'll definitely feel good about spending your money on.
1. Donkey Kong Bananza. I'm not exaggerating when I say Donkey Kong Bananza is pure nostalgia in game form. It's one of those titles that instantly throws you back into that classic Nintendo vibe, but with such a smooth modern polish that everything feels brand new again. And seriously, the soundtrack alone puts you in a good mood, even if you weren't expecting it. The whole energy of the game is just fun. No stress, no complicated menus, nothing trying to pretend it's deep or cinematic. It's just good, simple gameplay from the moment you pick up the controller. What really surprised me is how tight and satisfying the platforming is. You know that rare feeling when the controls are so good, it feels like your brain and the game are perfectly synced? That's Bananza. Every jump, every bounce, every moment you chain moves together is insanely smooth. And the level design keeps throwing new ideas at you. Not the annoying kind, but the ones that make you go, oh dang, that's cool, didn't see that coming. But the best part, it has that charm only Donkey Kong games have. This perfect mix of goofy, fun, and stylish. You can literally feel the love the devs put into this game. And honestly, with how expensive games are these days, it's refreshing to play something that just wants to be fun instead of pretending it's some kind of Oscar-worthy masterpiece. Bananza is worth every penny because it reminds you exactly why gaming is so awesome in the first place.
2. Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden West is one of those games that makes you stop playing for a second just to stare at how ridiculous the graphics are. I'm serious, sometimes I'd catch myself just looking around like a tourist who accidentally walked into the future. But here's the thing, the game isn't just pretty, it actually feels incredible to play. The movement, the combat, the way Aloy flows from sneaking to shooting to sliding down hills, it all feels insanely smooth. And I know some people say open world games feel like chores, but Forbidden West doesn't hit you with that, another checklist feeling. Instead, it makes you actually want to explore. You see a giant robot bird flying overhead and your brain goes, yeah, I'm definitely fighting that thing today. And somehow, every fight feels unique. It's like the machines have personalities, angry personalities, and you're constantly learning new ways to take them down. Aloy too feels more real in this game. She's confident without being annoying, tough without trying to act like a superhero, and the side characters, surprisingly good. Like, I didn't expect to care about these people, but now I weirdly do good. The story hits harder than I expected, especially in the later moments where everything gets bigger and crazier. Forbidden West is one of those games you finish and immediately think, yeah, this was worth the price, no regrets. It's the kind of experience that makes the PS5 feel like it's actually being used properly.
3. Black Myth Wukong. Okay, listen. Black Myth Wukong is one of those games where the moment you start playing, you're like, oh yeah, this is something special. The animations alone are insane. Every movement from the Monkey King looks so clean and so sharp that it almost feels like the controller is vibrating in anticipation. And the combat? Man, the combat hits different. It's weighty, fast, and honestly, kind of addictive. What I love is that the game never tries to baby you. It respects your skill, or lack of it, but it never becomes unfair. Every boss feels like a showdown, not just a roadblock. And the bosses, some of the coolest designs I've seen in years. They're weird, creepy, mythological, sometimes even beautiful in a strange way. It's like playing inside a moving painting. But what shocked me the most is how the world feels. It's not big in the giant open world sense, but it feels alive in a deeper way. The forests, the temples, the weird mystical caves, everything has this atmosphere that makes you want to slow down and take it all in. It's dark without being gloomy. mystical without being confusing, and stylish without trying too hard. Wukong is the kind of game you buy because you want something different, and it delivers. It feels like a passion project made by people who truly love this story. And honestly, I'd pay full price again without even thinking twice. This is gaming at its coolest.
4. Days Gone Remastered. Days Gone Remastered is one of those games that people slept on for way too long, and I'll die on that hill. It's not trying to be some prestige, artsy masterpiece. It's just a damn good game with heart. And on the PS5, dude, it's a completely different experience. The smooth frame rate alone makes the bike feel like an extension of your hands. You feel every slide, every sharp turn, every moment you're barely outrunning a horde. And speaking of hordes, that's the part that still blows my mind. Games talk about having a lot of enemies, but Days Gone throws actual walls of zombies at you. The first time I saw a horde coming around a corner, I swear I forgot how to breathe for a second. It's chaotic, stressful, and ridiculously fun. You're constantly planning escape routes, traps, and backup plans on the fly. What makes it even better is how grounded it feels. Deacon isn't some superhero, he's just a dude trying to survive and hold on to what's left of his life. And weirdly enough, that makes him way more relatable than most overly heroic game protagonists. The story actually grows on you the more you play, especially the emotional moments with Boozer. It feels like a friendship you genuinely care about. Days Gone is absolutely worth full price in its remastered form. It may not be perfect for everyone, but if you love open-world survival mixed with emotional storytelling and crazy action moments, this is one of the best games you can buy. 5. The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 is one of those games that punches you right in the chest and doesn't apologize. I'm not even kidding. This game sticks with you long after you turn off the console. The combat feels raw and desperate, like every fight actually matters. And the animations? They're so insanely detailed that you sometimes forget you're playing a game. What I love most is how personal everything feels. Ellie isn't some perfect hero. She's messy, emotional, angry, confused, basically human. And because of that, every decision hits harder. The story takes risks, real risks, the kind most studios would never even consider. You'll have moments where you're literally arguing with yourself about who's right and who's wrong, and that's what makes it great. Whether you agree with the direction or not, this is a game you absolutely feel. And by the time the credits roll, you know exactly why it deserves every penny.
6. Resident Evil 4 Remake. Resident Evil 4 Remake is pure satisfaction. Like Capcom grabbed the original game, injected it with adrenaline, and handed it back saying, "You're welcome." The controls are smoother, the combat feels tighter, and everything just has this modern snap to it that makes the whole thing feel brand new again. Leon is still that perfect mix of sarcastic and badass, and the new atmosphere makes every village, castle hallway, and creepy underground room feel 10 times more intense. And I swear, the sound design alone is worth the price of admission. You hear something behind you and instantly panic. What makes this remake so good is that it respects the original but isn't afraid to add its own flavor. It's fun, fast, replayable, and honestly one of the easiest games to recommend at full price. 7. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is that game you buy just to try, and suddenly you look up and 6 hours have disappeared. The world is ridiculously huge, but not in that boring, empty, open world way. It's packed with weird secrets, terrifying bosses, and moments that make you stop and whisper, "No way," to yourself. What surprised me most is how freeing it feels. If you're stuck, you just leave and do something else. No pressure, no walls, no forced path. And somehow that makes the victories feel even sweeter. You're not just beating a boss, you're overcoming something you genuinely worked for. And yeah, the game is hard, but not unfair. It teaches you, pushes you, and then lets you crush things that once terrified you. It's the definition of money well spent. 8. God of War Ragnarök.
God of War Ragnarok feels like a game made by people who absolutely refuse to cut corners. Every moment feels handcrafted, from the insane boss fights to the quiet character conversations that hit way harder than you'd expect. Kratos is still a beast, obviously, but what makes Ragnarok amazing is how emotional and grounded the story is. You see him trying to be better, struggling with fatherhood, dealing with guilt, and all of that builds into these massive, epic moments that feel earned. The gameplay is unbelievably smooth. Switching weapons mid-fight honestly feels illegal with how good it is. And the world, gorgeous from start to finish. This is one of those rare sequels that actually surpasses the original, and it's absolutely worth every cent.
Number 9. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the kind of game that reminds you why JRPGs used to completely own your childhood. This thing is massive, not just in size, but in personality, creativity, and pure heart. From the moment you step into the grasslands, everything feels alive. The music, the characters, the goofy side quests, even the random NPCs who look like they're having a better life than you. What I love most about Rebirth is how it balances nostalgia with surprises. You think you know what's coming because of the original, and then the game flips everything upside down in a way that feels bold, not disrespectful. Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Barret, they feel more human than ever, and the character banter is honestly one of the best parts of the whole experience. And the combat? Dude, it's perfect. It's smooth, fast, tactical, and just crunchy in the best way. Every boss fight feels like a mini event, like something you'll tell your friends about later. Exploring the open areas, doing silly mini-games, getting emotional in the story, it all blends into this experience that's way better than it has any right to be. Rebirth is one of those games where you finish it and genuinely miss the characters. You don't just pay for a game, you pay for a whole adventure.
10. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2. This series is honestly one of the most underrated in gaming. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2 proves that you don't need dragons, magic, or some world-ending prophecy to make an RPG feel epic. Instead, it drops you into a brutally realistic medieval world and basically says, "Good luck, buddy." What I always loved about Kingdom Come is how human everything feels. Henry isn't a chosen hero. He's just a guy trying to survive, learn, and get by in a world that's way harsher than he is. And that makes every victory feel personal. When you finally master a sword fight, you actually earned it. When you negotiate something successfully, you feel clever. When you screw up, yeah, that's on you. The world itself feels dirty, alive, and extremely believable. You can almost smell the mud on the roads and the smoke from the villages. And the moral choices hit differently, because they're not about saving the world, they're about what kind of person Henry becomes. This is a rare type of game that respects your time, your intelligence, and your curiosity. And for that reason alone, it's absolutely worth paying for.
11. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This game came out of nowhere and instantly became one of the most unique RPGs I've ever played. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 feels like if someone mixed Final Fantasy, French art, dark fantasy, and pure imagination, then somehow made it all actually work. The visual style is insane. Every scene looks like a painting brought to life. There's this weird mix of beauty and sadness running through the entire world. Like, everything is gorgeous, but also slightly broken. And that matches the story perfectly. The whole premise of trying to break a deadly cycle hits harder than you'd expect. Combat is turn-based, but not in the old school just press attack way. You're actually dodging, timing hits, reacting in real time, and that makes every battle feel intense instead of slow. Some of the bosses feel like full-blown performances. But what really sold me are the characters. They're flawed, emotional, complicated, and surprisingly relatable. This game makes you care without forcing it. And when a game does that, you know it's something special. It's the kind of experience that feels artistic, but still fun. Not pretentious, not boring, just genuinely memorable. 12. Astro Bot. I'm gonna be real with you. Astro Bot is pure joy in video game form. This is one of those games where you start smiling 5 minutes in and don't stop until the credits roll. It's creative, colorful, nostalgic, and honestly kind of magical. Astro doesn't need gritty stories or giant open worlds. It wins you over with personality. Every level has some goofy idea that makes you think, why don't more devs do this? The DualSense integration is still some of the best on the PS5, and this game actually uses the controller to make you feel stuff, not just buzz for no reason. And the references? Oh man, this thing is a love letter to PlayStation history. You're constantly spotting characters, moments, and details from across decades of gaming, and it never feels forced. Most importantly, Astro Bot isn't just cute, it's fun. Tight controls, great pacing, clever level design, everything comes together like a team of devs who genuinely love what they're making. It's the kind of game that reminds you why you started playing games in the first place.
13. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Ghost of Tsushima is one of those games that hits you instantly. Like, the first 10 minutes are enough to make you stop and go, okay, this is something special. The director's cut just elevates everything even more. Visually, the game looks like an actual moving painting. I'm not exaggerating. There are moments where the wind, the grass, the colors, and the lighting blend in such a perfect way that you genuinely want to pause and take a screenshot. But this game isn't just pretty, it has soul. Jin's story is emotional without trying too hard. You feel every internal conflict, every moment he questions who he is, every time he chooses between honor and survival. And honestly, the game makes you think in a way most open worlds don't. The sword combat is just, man, it's so clean. Every strike, every parry, every duel feels like you're starring in your own samurai movie. And when you jump into Iki Island and the director's cut, the emotional weight becomes even heavier. The expansion digs into Jin's past in a raw, painful way that makes the whole story richer. This is one of those rare games that makes you slow down, appreciate the world, and then immediately jump into a fight that makes you feel like the coolest person alive.
"14. Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 isn't just a game, it's a full-on experience. It's weird, unsettling, beautiful, smart, and honestly one of the most creative things released in years. You don't even have to be a horror fan to appreciate what Remedy did here. The atmosphere is unmatched. The whole world feels like it's constantly shifting between nightmare and reality, and the game never lets you get too comfortable. Even walking through a quiet room feels tense because you never know what's coming next. But it's not just jump scares, it's psychological, slow burn, something is seriously wrong here type of horror. Saga and Alan are both amazing characters, and switching between their perspectives makes the story feel bigger and deeper. And the live action segments, dude, they're insane. No other AAA game does stuff like this with so much confidence. Every chapter feels different, like the game is constantly reinventing itself, and somehow it still feels cohesive. If you want something bold, ambitious, and memorable, this game is absolutely worth every dollar.
Yeah, I've heard of you.
Number 15. Death Stranding Director's Cut. Death Stranding is the most love it or hate it game on this list, and honestly, I love it. Not in a it's perfect way, but in a this is one of the most unique experiences gaming has ever given me way. There's something weirdly therapeutic about walking through these empty landscapes, planning your route, building structures, and just trying to keep your delivery safe. It feels quiet, almost meditative at times, and then the game hits you with a BT encounter and your heart rate jumps into the red. The director's cut adds so many quality of life improvements that it feels like the way the game always should have launched. More tools, more missions, better performance, new gadgets, all small changes, but they make the world feel richer and more rewarding. What keeps me coming back is the sense of connection. Even though you're alone, the structures other players leave behind genuinely matter. It feels like everyone is quietly helping each other survive. No toxicity, no competition, just cooperation. It's different. It's weird, but it's special. 16. Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5 is the definition of a fun game that actually respects your time. It doesn't try to be too serious, but it has enough of a story to keep you engaged, and that balance makes it incredibly easy to lose hours just exploring the world. Hope County feels like a real place. The forests, the rivers, the small towns, everything has this authentic rural American vibe that somehow manages to be both peaceful and dangerous at the same time. You might be quietly fishing one second and then suddenly get attacked by a bear, a cultist, or a plane dropping bombs on you. The villains are some of the best in the franchise. Joseph Seed is calm in that disturbing, I know something you don't way, and his whole family brings a different flavor of crazy to every region. They're memorable without being cartoonish. Combat is classic Far Cry chaos. Explosions everywhere, outposts to liberate, animals going wild, companions doing the dumbest stuff imaginable, and somehow saving you in the process. It's messy, funny, unpredictable gameplay at its best. If you're paying for entertainment value, this game gives you a lot for your money.
17. Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those games that feels less like a game and more like a world you step into. Rockstar didn't just build a map, they built a living, breathing piece of art that reacts to you, changes with you, and sometimes punches you in the heart when you least expect it. Arthur Morgan might be one of the best written characters in gaming ever. You don't just play as him, you connect with him. His arc hits hard because it feels slow, real, and human. And the crazy thing is, the game doesn't force those emotional moments. They just happen naturally as you explore, talk to people, and make choices. Then there's the world. Dude, the amount of detail is ridiculous. Every town feels unique, every camp moment feels personal, and every random encounter feels like a tiny story someone crafted just for you. Even riding your horse across the plains feels emotional sometimes. You hear the music quietly kick in, and suddenly you're in a movie. And yeah, the pacing is slow, but it's intentional. It gives the world weight. It makes the journey matter. This is one of the few games where I finished the story and honestly felt empty afterward, like I'd said goodbye to someone important. It's worth every cent and then some. 18. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Rift Apart is basically a Pixar movie you can play, and honestly, it might be one of the most instantly fun games on the PS5. The movement is smooth, the combat is flashy, and the weapons are so ridiculous that you can't help but grin every time you pull the trigger. What really stands out is how alive everything feels. The worlds are colorful, packed with tiny details, and full of that goofy charm Ratchet and Clank has always had. And Rift mechanics? Man, jumping between dimensions in real time never stops being cool. The PS5's power really shows here. No loading screens, no waiting, just instant chaos. Rivet steals the show too. She's energetic, emotional, funny, and easily one of the best new characters Sony has introduced in years. Her chemistry with Ratchet makes the story feel way more heartfelt than you expect from a game with talking robots and explosive sheep guns. It's short, sweet, and absolutely packed with personality. This is one of those games that reminds you gaming doesn't always need to be deep. Sometimes it just needs to be fun.
All right, that's the list. 18 games that are actually worth paying for. No hype, no sponsored nonsense, just real experiences that give you your money's worth. If even one of these caught your eye, don't overthink it. Go play it. Thanks for hanging out. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Now go play something great.